My bad. My bad. I know Horizon Forbidden West came out like 5 months ago, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. And again, like I said, my bad. But now I'm finally ready to talk about it. It's not like it just took me this long to get all the thoughts I had together. It's just I didn't do it. I was just being lazy again. But now I'm finally going to do it. So here's what I think of Horizon Forbidden West. What's up, guys? I'm the Nearsighted Gamer. Thanks for coming to see me. If you're new to the channel, then why not click that subscribe button and go ahead and like the video while you're at it. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. And if you're not new here, then I assume you've done that already. And thanks to you as well. Okay, if you know me, then you know that I loved Horizon Zero Dawn. It's actually probably one of my top 3 video games of all time. So whenever the inevitable sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, was announced, it was a no-brainer that I was going to get it. I know it had a lot to live up to, being a sequel to one of the biggest games for Sony, and not only that, being a new type of game from Guerrilla, who was up until now known for making first-person shooters with the Killzone series. So they came out and they did a new IP and killed it. Surprised everybody, and it was really good. So the sequel coming out was inevitable. Are they going to be able to do it again? Is it going to have the same impact that the first one did? And the answer to that, as far as I'm concerned, is yes and no. I don't hold it in the same respect as Zero Dawn, because Zero Dawn had a lot more to do, being an original, like a first game in the series. They had to get people invested into the game, unlike whenever you come out with a sequel, your goal is to expand upon what you already have, and you want to let people know that this game is good, if not better, than the prequel or the previous game that you've already made in the series, which is kind of hard of a task because you walk the line of doing too much or doing too little, but you still want to make the game as good as possible. I want to start with the story. I'm going to constantly make comparisons between first 2 games because there's nothing else that I can compare it to, and that will overall let you know how I feel about it. I'll talk about how I feel about Forbidden West as well, but I feel I have to compare it to Zero Dawn, being the original in the series. So the story of Forbidden West is a continuation of Zero Dawn. Now, with Zero Dawn, they had a lot to do. They had to establish all of these characters. They had to establish this entire world. They had to set the story so that you would feel invested, that you would want to complete this story, and that you wouldn't feel like you were just doing it just to do it. They had to find a way to make you relate to the characters, and not only that, the main character, Aloy, on her journey in Zero Dawn. And then in Forbidden West, all the several characters in the world and all that was already established with tons of lore. So what they had to do was come up with a story that would be able to carry itself on its own, with not having to create everything. Just like I said before, build upon what already existed. New characters, yes, but returning characters, returning spots and places in the world, events, things like that you would already know that they could just come up with, or that would be a result of something that happened in the first game. Now, I do not think the story in Forbidden West is better than Zero Dawn. Zero Dawn's story was fantastic. What you put Aloy through, what she had to go through, was just great. I can't praise that story enough. And this isn't to say that Forbidden West story is bad. Not at all. But it just didn't hit me as hard as the Zero Dawn story did. Now, you definitely feel invested. You definitely want to see where this story goes. You're there for Aloy. I know some people don't like Aloy as a character. I think she's fine. If you know what she's been through, what she's dealing with, it would in some ways excuse what, like, her actions at times, and the way she reacts to things, that people would think that, why is she saying this or doing like that? She's going through a lot, man. I mean, a lot. Talk about having almost literally the weight of the world on your shoulders. I'm not going to go into too much for Zero Dawn, but I feel like there may be some spoilers for Forbidden West if I feel that I have to do those in order to get my point across. You start 6 months after the events of Zero Dawn, and she is going to try to bring back Gaia, the motherly AI that is in charge of. I said spoilers, so you saw the spoiler warning. I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. All right. She is trying to find Gaia so that she can help fix the world, which is currently dying, is the lightest way to put it, without getting into too many technical terms. But yeah, she's trying to find a copy of Gaia so that she can reboot it, will help fix the world. She thought she did so before, but it didn't really work out like that. She solved the immediate problem, but there seems to be another problem out there, and she finds out that the world is dying, and she has to find Gaia, and then in turn she has to find the other subroutines in order to help Gaia defeat the other subroutine, which is currently causing the planet to have problems. It's a lot. If you play the game, you already know. If not, just don't worry about it. It's a substantial story. It makes sense with what's going on. And the way the story is you come across characters that you enlist in your party of sorts. You're gathering allies to help you in the final battle, and each one of them has a different skills or different things that they bring to your cause to help you out. And all of these are surrounded by large story missions, like several story missions that will in turn get you to have them eventually come and join you after these set events have taken place. You're meeting new characters, and their events are tied to the story that you're doing. So you're helping them out to get something, help them out, they help you. And then in turn, they feel indebted to you, or they feel that they really want to help you with what you're doing. While you, at the same time, try to go and collect the remaining lost subroutines that, I hope subroutines is the correct word to use, that will help you inevitably on the other part of what you're doing. I'm making this sound terrible. Oh.
Hey guys, it's me, the Nearsighted Gamer from the future. Thanks for coming to see me in the future. Sorry, I've always wanted to do this. Anyway, I put this clip of a gauntlet run in the video and realized that I didn't talk about it. So I wanted to do that really quick. This, along with Machine Strike, Not a Fan, are 2 mini games within the game that you can either dive into completely or skip altogether. You race chargers against other Tanakh. There's only 1 lap, and the goal is, of course, to get first. To help do this, you can collect arrows during the race and shoot your opponents to slow them down. There's also melee combat when close enough. Of course, they can do the same to you, so watch out. That's pretty much it. It's not too deep. I think it's cool that they put something like this in the game. Maybe they'll expand on it in the next game with different mounts. Who knows? Now, back to Past Me. Take it away and continue telling them how great and fantastic the game is. Seriously, I couldn't use any other words to describe it.
It works. A lot of people have played this type of gameplay before, so you know how it is. I like the story. I do like the story because there are a lot of key moments that hit hard, and you see Aloy go through a lot more of the issues and her dealing with the next level of what her life has become. And I think that it does what it does. It does what it needs to do for the story. Now, the ending, I'm really not going to spoil the ending. The ending, I wasn't so hot on, which I hear a lot of people saying. But it sets up the next game, which is inevitable. It'll be a trilogy more than likely. But I feel like in this instance, the journey was definitely better than the destination. When you got to the destination, final boss, and all that revelation set up for the thing, it seemed like it kind of came out of nowhere. Almost like that, hey, you beat the final boss. Okay, not really the final boss. There's this other person that's just here that was really pulling the strings or somehow got released because you did that and now you have to fight them. That's not what happens in this, but it's that same kind of bait and switch where you beat it, but like, okay, well, this is going to happen now. Like, huh? Whatever, you put it out of your back pocket. But that's the way it is. That's the way it seemed to me. But getting there was great. I loved going to the new area called the Forbidden West, where you discover this new tribe called the Tanakh, and there's different groups or factions within them that you have to go and, that's where you get a lot of the allies that you see. You meet these people, you find out how they are, this different tribe, and how they do things, and you learn about their traditions and stuff like that and the way they do things. So you have to go through them, and it's more of a gather people to help you type situation. And learning about what they were going through while you're dealing with all the other things that you've dealt with in the first one, you see how more tribes are existing in this world. I like the majority of the characters, and I feel like they don't hinder it, but I'm an overall fan of the story. It's not as good as the first one, but I guess it does a good job to set up the next game, which is the point of the story in itself. And I'm still a big fan of Aloy. I like a lot of the missions in the game. The story missions and the side missions are all great as well. The gameplay is pretty much the same. You have your weapon wheel, which allows you to pick your type of weapon that you want to use, which is mainly going to be bows, or slingshots, or rope casters, or trip casters. All those are back from the first game, but you do have a couple of different weapons and new ones. You have spike throwers now, and shredder gauntlets, which I wasn't a big fan of, but you still have the same gameplay technique. You can bring up your weapon wheel, choose your different weapons, and you have the loadout of types, and you can craft on the fly. All that from Horizon Zero Dawn is still the same. What's different is the crafting element, which has been brought to this. You can go to workbenches and you can craft ammo for your weapons, and you can also upgrade them as well. There's upgrade paths, which you have to go and get materials from hunting machines. Yeah, you still hunt machines, which is the main focus of this as far as gameplay goes. That hasn't changed. It's still awesome. Getting in there, making sure you use the right weakness for this type of weapon. You plan out how you want to take these machines down, traps, all of that. Using different types of ammo to make sure you can get in there without taking the most damage, and making sure that the hunt goes down as easy as possible. Not only do you have crafting at workbenches, but you also get different types of basic, like your weapons. Like you have a pull caster, which is like a grappling hook that like kind of just brings you towards a spot. It's easy for like climbing, so you don't have to like slowly climb. And you also have an expanded skill tree. Before you had like just one page with all those going through, but now you can specify. You can do infiltrator, you can do warrior, you can do machine master, and each of these have different skill trees with various different ways that you can go and level up. You can learn new skills, you can learn passive skills, and you have a skill meter now, and you have what's called valor surges, which are like super moves or super skills. You have different types based on what you want to do. You can do one that, of course, make you super strong, your shot stronger for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of shots, or just one shot. Or you can make it where you have an incredible amount of defense, or you can make it where you can turn invisible. So it expands the way you can play as far as what you want to do and how you want to go about this. So it takes the hunting level to like new heights. You have your new skill tree. You have you have some new weapons, and you also have some environmental weapons that you get that are story related that help you make it through the world. And you get those as they're needed with how you go when you go about the story. You'll unlock these, and then all of a sudden you'll have it. You'll make this because you have all of a sudden have the materials for it. Again, spoilers. You finally get to get a flying mount. You can ride a Sunwing. Everybody wanted to do this back in Horizon Zero Dawn. They finally gave it to us in this, and it's great. Now you can ride Claw Striders, you can ride Bristlebacks, and of course you can ride Sunwings. It's great because your Sunwing is like your personal Sunwing, so it's not like you have to go get another one. You just have one that you can call, period, and it's all yours. That all hasn't changed except for the fact that you can like ride different types now. That gameplay has pretty much stayed the same, other than like expanding the skill tree and giving you new types of things to use, like your Valor Surges and your super moves, which it took me a little bit to get to understand, but now it's really cool. It all comes together pretty good. I think what they've added helps make the game better. I gotta talk about how the game looks. It looks fantastic. The world itself looks just as good as it did before, but now the facial animations that they use in this game are great. It's not just static. Okay, my lips are moving, I'm saying the words, but I mean, like, you can see emotion in people's faces, and these people actually look like they would be somebody there, not just like a character model made for this and just generic. All the variety of people, the variety of faces, the variety of looks, the variety of characters in general, with their voices that seem to actually match in more or less more or less every situation. There may be a time where somebody's voice doesn't match, but for the most part, the character models and the people in this game, and like their acting, all of it, the voice acting is fantastic. I love it all. And the way that Aloy interacts with all of these people works as well. Meeting new characters and injecting herself into their culture, having to deal with their traditions and the way they do things is great. And them seeing Aloy as, she has this history of this title of being the Savior Meridian, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're the Savior Meridian." She's like, "I'm just Aloy. Just call me Aloy."
So, red hair, kills machines like I down ale. I'd say luck just brought us the Savior of Meridian.
Just Aloy.
Because they've only heard stories of her. To actually see her, they're like, "Oh man, you're her." She's like, "Yeah, I am, but let's not dwell on that. I'm just me." So her interacting with all of these characters really seems to work. And again, I'm a fan of Aloy. A lot of people aren't a fan of Aloy. I love her to death. She's a great character. She's just dealing with a lot, man. You gotta cut her some slack. And the world itself, the Forbidden West goes more towards the western side of the United States. So you're over in like Nevada and California and stuff like that. So you see the remains of places like San Francisco and Nevada, more specifically Vegas, which is hands down that mission. Don't skip that side mission. I don't know the name of it, but that's one side mission you should definitely do, because it's the payoff is definitely worth it. And especially being able to fly with your Sunwing and see this area, see the snowy areas, the grassland areas, the forest, the trees, see it in a whole different way. See it from above, see mountains off in the distance, fly across the mountains, stuff like that. It really all works. Being able to do so from above really paints it in a new picture and lets you see how much they put into this game and how it all works and comes together. The game's not perfect by any means. I mean, of course, it doesn't have the climb anywhere aspect that everybody wants. But with the Pullcaster, it makes it a lot easier for you to climb, and you can choose to highlight areas on mountains and cliffs that you can climb, and spots that you are able to climb, where you can just know where to go and jump and climb from side to side. You can choose to keep it on or not keep it on. I didn't, but you can bring it up temporarily so you'll know. I did that. I think it works because this game isn't necessarily a climbing simulator. When you need to climb at certain spots, you can. When you don't, you just don't. But what it does is shows the world, like the grass, the trees, the lighting, the day-night cycle. Moonlit nights, still my favorite, still my absolute favorite. Moonlit nights, sunrises, sunsets, you can see all that. You can see it from above. Just being able to go and experience all that from the air now, in addition to being able to see it the way you normally did, really works. And I really love this. I love the way this game looks. It looks so good. So proud of all that. As far as other things that they've improved or could improve, like they did a lot with accessibility, and me being, legally blind, it helped out a lot. I could increase the text when I needed to in certain spots, or being able to zoom in is a really big deal. So they've done a lot of things. There's several options you can make this game where you can play it how you need to, which I really appreciated. And I'm glad they did that for people in my situation or who may be in different situations who really want to enjoy the game but feel that they weren't able to really access it the way they needed to, because there were certain options that just weren't available for them. The music, still great. Title theme, fantastic. Just love it. You could just sit there and listen to it. To wrap up, I'm satisfied with it. I'm greatly satisfied. They did what they needed to do. They made a successful sequel that I don't feel went back, took any steps back. I don't think the story is as good as Zero Dawn at all. Again, a very good origin story in Zero Dawn. You had a lot to set up, and they nailed it with that. And this is more of a continuation and giving a reason for Aloy to have to move on, which they did as well. But I felt the execution of it was just what they needed to do, and the actual story aspect, the story beats, the moments, some of them hit really hard. I will not lie on that. But I felt overall the story of Zero Dawn came through from the beginning to the end. There was a mystery with Zero Dawn, which also helped. That was what was pushing you initially to complete the game, as well as the excellent gameplay. In this, there's not a mystery. There's just a continuation. What I'm trying to say is it made you not as invested as you were in the first one, is the way I feel about it. I was invested because I love the Horizon series. I love Aloy, and I was going to play the game no matter what. But after having played the whole thing now, I didn't feel as invested to continue playing as I did whenever I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn and wanting to know what the heck happened. There was more that was revealed, so you do find out more information and like find out answers to certain questions which were left hanging in Zero Dawn, but there's not that push to continue going like there was in Zero Dawn. But the story was still good, being a sequel and having to continue it and what they were trying to tell in this one. I like that. The design of the game overall hasn't changed. You still do the same. They just like maybe made some tweaks. You know, you're still hunting, you're still using your weapons. You can upgrade now. You still have your weaves and coils that you use on weapons. You can mix and match those and make your weapon stronger or make your character stronger. All those are the same. I do like some of the new weapons, like the spike thrower. I'm not a fan of the shredder gauntlets, but everything else is still there. There's a couple more status effects, like I don't know if acid was there. Fire isn't as strong as it was, so you have plasma now, which does damage after a certain amount of time. There are different machines as well, like Tremor Tusks and Sun Wings and the whatever that bat's called. But yeah, there's different animals, different machines, of course, that exist there. They did a good job bringing those in because, you know, you couldn't just have the same ones. You had to ramp it up a little bit. And they did do that, which I liked. And like I said, the character models and the faces and all that, fantastic. The look of the game is great. And the sound quality, all of that is fantastic. And that's what I think about Horizon Forbidden West 5 months later. It took me a while, but I got there, so thanks. Again, if you haven't hit subscribe and you haven't liked the video yet, you can go ahead and do that right now. I appreciate you guys watching. You mean the world to me. You're awesome. I guess after that, all I can say is, as always, be excellent to each other. See ya, pupils.